Hello, everybody. Excuse me, and welcome to another brand new episode here on 1950's Farm. As you can see, we've got the corn chopper on today. Now, we've got to be a little bit aware of where we start with this because I was very tempted there to drive through the crop, but there is actually enough room to get round. Are we moving? Yeah, there we go. But apparently we're not harvesting. Why are we not harvesting? Ah, that's why. Yes. Yeah, there we go. That's got it. Right. It's been a year since I've used it, so just got to get me feelers back with it. Anyway, how are you all doing? Hope you're all having a good day. Hope your day's going well. My day has been weird, to say the least. So I got up this morning and I was awoken at so I've not been sleeping all that good for the last however long, and last night again not sort of, you know, wasn't getting much sleep and was considering getting up at about 2:30. Anyway, laid there on my tablet and must have fallen asleep, and I sort of couldn't, you know, I just must have just, you know, without realising, fell asleep, and it was fantastic, right? About 5:45 this morning, I get a phone call, so I'm not happy. Because all the mornings when I'm up at, like, you know, sort of 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, no one ever rings. So I get a phone call, and it's Kerry on the phone. She rings me up. She says, "James, I need your help." I said, "What's the matter?" So she said, because I was really tired and really miffed. So she said, they've given me the task of drilling. So I said, okay. So I said, it's a bit early in the morning to go drilling, innit? So she said, yeah, but it's the frosts on the ground. I said, and she said they, you know, want me to travel on the frost. So I said to her, I said, all right. I said, okay. I said, what do you need help with anyway? So she said, well, setting it up, I don't know what I'm doing. So I said, well, get one of the other lads to help you then. I said, like, you know, I said, not being funny, Kerry, but, you know, I said, I was asleep for the first time in a few months. I said, you know, I said, I'm not very happy, really. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. So I said, it's okay. So I said, she said, well, they're not at work. She said, like, so it means I'm going to have to sit and wait until they get to work. So I said, okay. I said, where are you? So she said, I'm where I was ploughing the other day. So I said, okay, fair enough. I said, I'll get dressed and I'll come up. So anyway, because I felt really mean, because I kind of said, you know, I was asleep, I'm not happy, because that's not genuinely how I am. But so I suddenly kind of like had the bravery and the sort of you know, to say that, and then it was like instantly felt bad, and I thought, no, I better go and help her now. So anyway, I went down there and I helped her, and so sort of, well, she did it all. I basically just told her what to do. It's a very odd feeling for a man to be stood there telling a woman what to do. I remember many years ago drilling, and my ex got her dad to bring her up while I was drilling, and she came and she was just riding on the tractor. Anyway, it was sort of I think it was about 9 o'clock in the evening. And we went into this 70-acre field, and I said to her, I'm going to get this one done. I said, and then I'm gonna pack in. Like I said, I've had enough for today. So she was like, okay. So anyway, gets the drill unfolded, we gets drilling. We got a 9 metre vertistat, 70 acres, doesn't take all that long. So I said to her, I said, like, you know, I said, we'll get this one done. I said, and then I'm gonna go, like, anyway. And gets the headland drilled, no problem. You know, gets sort of through the first quarter probably of the field, and get the warning that one of the coals is blocked. Now, it wasn't that sort of year, wasn't sort of unusual, because it had been a really wet harvest, and a lot of the straw that was the residue and stuff that was left was, because the ground was sort of a bit wet with the straw, obviously they were getting into the coulters and it was plugging them up. So that year was a bad year for coulters getting blocked and plugged, and so, you know, when the warning came up, I was like, not again. And anyway, you have to get out, and I mean, luckily modern day drill, it tells you which colt, you know, it tells you where the coulter is. It's, you know, it's sort of, there's no investigation work really needed. You just need to look at the, you know, what the computer's telling you, and you know, go from there, and within reason, you know, you could find it within, sort of, you know, really quickly. So I lifted the drill up. Well, it was on one of the wings, so I thought what I'll do is I'll lift the drill up, obviously, and then I'll fold the wing in, and then that way I can see which one it is, because it will be bunged up with mud. Anyway, so I'm there, and I'm sort of, you know, I'm heavily, you know, chiseling away, and eventually get the coulter unplugged, and or, you know, unblocked, and then, you know, sort of, so there was the drill itself was a fan driven drill, so it meant there was no metering wheel, because normally when you get like a block coulter, you know, you would spin the metering wheel and just make sure that you know, seed dropped out of that coulter, and then you knew that you know, it was okay, and then you'd sort of, while you was there, you know, and if you was any sort of tractor driver, you would then just quickly check the rest to make sure that, you know, seeds coming out of all of the others. Anyway, so I got it done, and then I get back in the cab, and she says, "Is it sorted?" So I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Cool, that took you a long time, didn't it?" And I said to her, I said, "Well," I said, "Yeah, but," I said, "the soil was jammed right up there." I said, "And I don't know if you know," I said, "but they're not very big spaces to, you know, to get anything in to clean it out with." I said, "I basically had to use my nails." So she was, "Well, I wouldn't have done it like that." So I said, "Oh no." I said, "How would you have done it then?" So she said, "Well, I would have got a screwdriver or something sharp and just kept ramming it up the metal bit," she said, "and then you know, it would have unblocked like that." I said, "Yeah." I said, "And then you're in danger of, when it finally, you'd get through it, you go straight through the seed pipe." I said, "And then you've got another problem then, because," I said, "because they work on air, it's blowing the seed straight out the pipe and not into the ground." I said, "So," I said, "that's the reason why I did it the way that I did it," I said, "was because I didn't want to split the pipe thereafter." And anyway, that, you know, she was like, "Yeah, well, I was just saying I wouldn't have done it like that." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, next time," I said, "something like that happens, I'll consult the expert, shall I?" Anyway, the following day I was ploughing, and and she rang me up and she goes, "Can I come and sit with you?" She said, "I'm bored." So I said, "Yeah, if you want." So "Where are you?" So I said, "Well, I'm actually young." I said, "Luckily for you, I'm not that far from your house." I said, "Yeah, I'm just down the road." So I told her where I was, and she came down there. So I was ploughing away, and I had at the time I had a 7 furrow offset mounted Dadswell plough. It was just before I got my new Lempkin, and the reason I changed to a Lempkin was for this bloody reason, because this Dadswell plough was an absolute sod for it. So I was ploughing away, and we're sort of getting, you know, the tractor's starting to get really bogged down, and it's really starting to, and like, you know, she goes, "You know, tractor's making a funny noise." So I said, "Yeah," I said, "I think the ground must be a little bit heavy." Well, because, and get me excuses in, because she was in the cab and she was yakking away to me and what have you about, you know, nothing. I don't know. I just sort of, I was looking forwards. I was looking sort of at her while she was talking, and and she had a phone. Oh, look at this, oh, we could do with this for the house, and and this, that, and everything else. And anyway, we're, we're going along, and as I say, the tractor's bogging down, and I just assumed that we were going through a heavier sort of bit of the field, like it sort of didn't really occur to me that something was amiss. And as I say, she was chatting away. Eventually I get to the end of the field, and as I pick the plough up and sort of start to turn around, I was then looking behind me, and it was then that I noticed I'd literally bulldozed halfway down the field. So basically some straw had got in between the wheel and the frame, and then because the soil was being added to it, it basically just stuck it absolutely bloody solid. It got wedged between, as I say, the wheel and the frame, which was forever happening with that Darswell plough. It was a lovely plough, and when it ploughed nice, and when I was looking what I was doing, it did a really good job, but it did bung up a lot. And I tried modifying it, and I'm not very good at mechanics, as I keep saying to everyone, and anyone that knows me will know I'm not very good at mechanics. And I sort of said to one of the engineers at work, I said, that wheel needs to be pushed a little bit further away. I said, to give the straw a chance to flow through it. I said either that, or we need to teach our balers how to bale. I said, so we don't leave straw on the field. And anyway, so I get out, and in the front weights of my tractor was like I had like a hoe, so it was like a spike hoe, and I basically used it for cleaning, mud off the machinery before I went down the road, because obviously you're expected to do that, yeah, so I started cleaning the plough out, or trying to knock the mud through. Well, it was stuck solid, and I'm not, obviously with my air conditioner, I've not got very much upper body strength anyway, and I'm there and I'm hammering and it's really getting me really getting me frustrated. And I'm more frustrated at myself because I didn't turn around and have a look, because normally, like, unless I'm sort of fiddling with settings or whatever else, normally you obviously, the tractor starts to bog a little bit, you sort of look behind you just to make sure, because in my head I'm sort of thinking, oh, it's blocked again, and you can sort of catch it before it gets too bad. And I looked, as I say, when I was sort of trying to get it out, it was solid. It was as solid as a rock, it was, and I could not get it out. And I'm sort of there, and I'm hammering away with this, what I used to call a spiked hoe, because, as I say, I'd sort of filed it down into like a point, so I could just scrape the mud off, or off machinery, off discs, and off the wheels and stuff like that, or tracks. But I had it when I was at the first farm. I took it with me because it was something that me and my dad had sort of, well, it was, to be absolutely precise, it was something my dad had designed. It wasn't really me at all. I just said I need something resembling a hoe to be able to clean my wheels and my implement, before I go down a road. And Dad designed this kind of like, and it was brilliant. It was the way that it angled the head meant that because on the first farm I had a wheel tractor, I didn't have a crawler. I did right at the end. I had a Claas Challenger right at the end, but for nearly all of the time I was there, well, pretty much all of the time, because I think I only had the Claas Challenger for about 3 months before I left, and I'm not doing a very good job at harvesting this corn. Yeah, so but it's again, like, it's the texture tear that's catching me out, like. But yeah, so I'm there anyway. She gets out of the tractor and she goes, "Are you going to be much longer?" Because I'm getting bored in there. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I looked at her and I went, "Oh, sorry, Miss Moneypenny," or Miss Daisy, or, well, I think that's it. "Sorry, Miss Daisy. I said, I don't know if you've noticed. I said, but I said, I'm busy here. I said, and I'm struggling. She goes, oh, she says, get out of the way. She said, get out of the way. She said, let me do it. She said, look, she bless you. And she started being really patronising. I was thinking to myself, this is how people end up getting buried in the middle of fields. I said to her, I said, don't start. I said, like, you know, with your patronising tone. I said, with me, I said, like, I'm not in a mood. I said, I ain't being funny. I said, I've been at work since like 5 o'clock this morning. I said, I'm tired and I've had enough. I said, you know, I said, I'll let you come down here because I thought you'd cheer me up a bit and, you know, it would be a bit of a sort of make the last few hours go. I said, but you're getting on my nerves. And anyway, she then sort of came over. Well, typical bloody woman, she she took hold of the spike thing. She like literally pushed it into it a little bit, and she like, and then I said, no, you're gonna have to hit it, aren't you? I said, like, if you don't hit it, I said, it ain't going. I said, I said, you're just trying to. I said, you're not doing anything. And I said, get out of the way. Anyway, she then sort of, like a javelin thrower, sort of pulled her arm back and then sort of went straight into it. Of course, a bloody hand slipped down the shaft of the hoe thing because it snapped 2 nails off. And off she went in the biggest huff I've ever seen in my life. And she just, like, literally just walked home from where we were. Like, it was just like... And yeah, when I got home that night, I was in a better mood again because I managed to get it unplugged, and essentially all I did was, and I don't know why I'd never thought of this before, but that was one good thing that did come out of that night, was because it did teach me how to unblock that player very quickly, was I basically turned the oil flow rate up on the lift arm so it went up and down really, really quickly, and I basically kept so I lifted it up as high as it would go and then would press down and then instantly up, and of course the vibration and the shock eventually worked the soil out of it. But yeah, it was it was not a good night. But yeah, so, and as I say, I went and helped Kerry. Well, she got a couple of coulters when we started. A couple of her coulters blocked up with a little bit of residue and sort of real sticky mud that she'd ploughed up, and because it was really tacky and really sticky, it wasn't, the frost was nowhere near sharp enough. But and I did sort of say to her, you want to ring Adrian and say, you know, that it's nowhere near goable. And she was like, well, no, you'd be in bed. I said, well, he's farm manager. I said, like, you know, I said, I would ring him. I said, and make sure. I said, because otherwise, I said, what's going to happen is, I said, you're going to drill this, you're going to make a mess. I said, it's not going to grow, you know, much. I said, and you know, I said, like, just ring him. If he gets staff with you, I said, like, just say, look, you know, at the end of the day, you're my manager, and, you know, I've got a problem, and I need you to tell me what you want me to do about the problem. You know, do you want me to carry on, or do you want me to stop? Anyway, she wouldn't ring him, and she sort of carried on and what have you. And personally, it looks a mess. I came back and got a cup of tea and what have you, and I then about an hour ago I went down there, and oh, for goodness sake, it might just, oh, that's the wrong button. It might just be that I'm a little bit too far away and I can't see the edge. I'll get my excuses in again. Anyway, while we was on the tractor and we was going up and down, she said, like, you worked like a lot of overnights, didn't you? She said, like, you know, when I was working, you know, you was working here and I was sort of, because she was on dairy for a little while. She was on the dairy team for a little while, and I said, yeah, I did. She said, you know, she said, what was that like? And I said, it was good. I said, like, you know, I said, well, the thing is, I said, I just love driving tractors. I said, and driving it at night meant that if I had to go between fields, there was hardly anyone on the road. It was really nice, and I could get through, and you weren't getting pipped at and flashed at, and, you know, different sort of numbers of fingers coming out of, you know, car windows and stuff like that. And you said, you know, and a lot of people used to shake their wrists at me for some reason. I said I could never work that one out, and she said, like, I said it was lovely, you know. So she said, you must have seen some things though overnight. She said, like, you know, she said, like, what about, like, you know, sort of aliens and spaceships and stuff like that. And I looked at her and I went, are you out of your mind? She went, no, why? And I said, bloody aliens and spaceships. I said, like they exist. She goes, well, you know, like, you know, speeding lights across the sky. I said, yeah. I said, they're called aeroplanes. She sort of looked at me and she went, no, she said, not all of them. I said, yeah, well, I would say 99. I said, either that or they're shooting stars or something like that. I said, I've got to be honest with you. I said, the whole kind of, you know, sort of ghost alien things, I said, not really into that. I said, like, you know, I said, you know, 90% of it can be explained. I said, you know, I said, don't get me wrong. I said, open-minded. You know, if I was to see such thing, I said, then, you know, I said, like, you know, I said, it's a little bit like, I said, you know, baboons exist, but I've never seen one. I said, and until I do see one, I said, even though I've seen lots of pictures, I said, and the alien pictures and the ghost pictures, I said, my brother gave me one the other day. I said, he came round. I said, and he was in hospital, right? I said, not him himself, but he was visiting someone in hospital. I said, and anyway, he's sitting in the like foyer lobby, you know, waiting room thing. I said, and he's, you know, they're treating whoever it is that he's gone to see. I said, and they've told him to wait outside, you see. So he's waiting outside in the lorry room. I said, and he's taken this picture, right? I said, and it's a cracking picture. I said, don't get me wrong. I said, it's a lovely picture. I said, lovely contrast, you know, really focused. I said, like, it's a really good picture. I said, but he's looking at me going, there's a ghost in that window. Look. He said, there's a woman standing in that window. So I'm having a look, right, at the window, and he's taken, you know, a couple of pictures, right, and he's, you know, he's got them side by side on his phone and what have you, and he's showing me, and look, this is a slightly different angle, look, she's still there, look, and you can clearly see here there's no one in the office, you know. So I'm sort of looking at this thing, and don't get me wrong, you know, the way the light was hitting the glass, you know, with probably the reflection of someone standing somewhere else in the room, it did look a little bit ghostly, I won't lie, you know, but I'm sort of saying, now that's just it. I said, it's either how the light's hitting something, thus creating that sort of effect and shadow and sort of look and what have you. I said, or I said, like, you know, there's someone else somewhere in and around you that you perhaps couldn't see that's reflecting back from that glass. I said, like, you know, I said, and he was like, oh, there was no one there. There was absolutely no one there. And I was like, I said, yeah, I don't really. I said, no, I'm not convinced. I said, like, I'll grant you, it does look like a woman. I said, like, it looks like an old woman as well. I said, like, I'll grant you that as well. I said, like, you know, I said, like, it does. I said, but, you know, and anyway, we sort of, you know, we didn't really argue, but he was like, kind of, because he's into the X-Files and all of this, you know, business, and, you know, he's you know, he's proper kind of, it's all out there, you know. And he was like, just because you haven't seen it doesn't make it not real. And I said, well, no. I said, that's absolutely. I said, I totally agree with that. I said, I really accept that. I said, I liken it a little bit. I said, you know, does a tree in a forest that falls make a noise, or does it fall silently? Just because no one's there to hear it doesn't mean it doesn't make the noise. I said, like, you know, I said Stephen Fry. I said I was, you know, lucky enough to talk to Stephen Fry for quite a, you know, sort of lengthy period, and it was him that sort of said that to me, you know, because we were sort of talking about psychology and what have you, and you know, he said to me, he said, you know, does a tree that no one sees fall make a noise, or, you know, or does it still make the noise? And I sort of looked at him and went, you're mental. I said, of course it makes a bloody noise. I said, it makes a noise because it falls. He said, yeah, but no one heard it. He said, so how do we know for sure? So I said to him, I said, well, we just know that trees make a noise when they fall. And he was like, he goes, yeah, but he said, in the same way that someone that saw the tree fall will tell you that it made a noise, he said, so someone that see a ghost or witness something that was, you know, they will say it exists, but you cannot. And I'm not explaining myself very well with that, but it kind of like, you know, and I was like, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so she said, she said, have you seen anything? So I said, no, not really. I said, the strangest thing I said I ever did see. I said, I said, honestly, it's true. I'm not winding you up, or I'm not being, facetious or anything like that. I said, I genuinely did see this. I said, I was working one night. I said it was December. It was. I said, and it was like severe frost. I said, like really, really sharp frost. I said it was getting down to sort of, minus sort of 9, 10, sort of every night sort of thing. And the days were, the day temperature was barely getting to 0. I said, like, it was proper cold winter. And I said, like, I said it was really, really cold. I said, and so I was ploughing sort of. We were doing what we used to call tandem ploughing, so or continual ploughing, I suppose. So I would go on my tractor for 12 hours, and then the next, then in the day, we had an older bloke that used to come in, David, and he would go on the tractor then for 12 hours, and then I would take over again at night. And I didn't normally let anyone drive my tractor, but David was all right, like, and so I didn't mind, and plus as well, like, I kind of, because we could have used his tractor, or we could have, so he had one of the floater challenges, because he didn't work for us full time and all the time. He sort of just came in when we were busy, so we could have used one of them. But I thought, well, if you're out in the middle of the night, and it's best to use a machine that you're familiar with, so we used ours anyway. He kept it nice and clean and everything, so I had no issue with it. Like, I said, anyway, I said, it was about, I said, I don't know, I said 2:15, something like that in the morning. I said, and I've stopped for a coffee. I said, and I wanted a wee. So she said, you're right. So I said, anyway, I said, I've stopped. I said, I'm drinking my tea, like, and I'm sort of eating my crisps and my sandwiches and whatever else. And I'm sort of, I said, I'm sat there, sort of thing. I said, and I'm thinking, cool, I don't half need a piddle. I said, I sat, ate my food, drank my drink. I said, and then thought, right. And what I used to do was, when I was stopped, and we weren't that far from houses as well, so I was at one end of the field. It was quite a long field. It's about 1.5 miles long, this field. It was like a really long, narrow field, but on the back side of the field was woods. It was like a sort of fairly deep wood, like, and I said, and I was on that side of the field, but I said I was away from the houses. I said, but I was about halfway down the breed. I said, like, so I said I was sort of more than visible and audible to the houses. I said, and what have you. So I said, when I stopped for my my break, I said I used to always turn the lights off. I said, like, I'd have like little the sort of front lights on, but I'd turn all the work lights off. And I said, like, just out of respect for the people in the house. It's like, I said, I'm sure it would have had no effect on them whatsoever, but I just felt better doing it. Like, fair enough. So I said, anyway, I said, I've stopped. I said, I'm having my drink. I said, anyway, want to get out to the toilet. I said, so I turned my side work lights on. I said, like the cab ones. I said, just so as I can say, because I'd literally just want to get out. I said, and, do me business right next to me, my tractor sort of thing. I said, like, I didn't want to wander too far. I said, because it's pitch black. I said, and, I didn't need to be wandering too far, I said, anyway, I said, I get out. I goes to the toilet. I said, and I do my business. I said, but while I'm doing my business, I said, so you get that feeling someone's watching you, or someone. I said, like, or someone's there, or whatever. She's like, yeah. I said, I had that feeling. So she was like, she goes, right. So I said, yeah. I said, so I'm sort of doing whatever. I said, but I'm trying to hurry myself up because I've got this real feeling. I said, and sort of kind of dreaded feeling that something bad was going to happen. I said, like, I said, it was really weird. It was. I said, like, but I said, so I've started to sort of like, sort of try a bit harder and tried to get me business done quicker. So she's right. I said anyway. I says I quickly turned round. I said and I'm looking around anyway while I'm sort of doing what I'm doing. I said and I'm looking around. I said and I can't see anything. I said and you know I said like so I said you know I said I'm sort of getting done like I said get into the tractor. I said literally turn around in my tractor. I said and there's two sets of green eyes looking at me. I said and they weren't cats. I said because they were you know I said they were quite high up. I said and they were probably about the size of like a probably an Alsatian, like a fully grown Alsatian or Doberman or something like that. I said like, but I said they were obviously cats. I said you could see they were cats. I said, but they were just jet black with these really, really, really bright green eyes. I said, and then these like little black slits in the middle. I said like, and I'm sort of sitting there, and it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, I was just out there with you two. Okay, there could have been wiener on the menu. And I said, anyway, I said, I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, and I said, they're like looking at me as if to say, yeah, just because we decided you were lucky. I was thinking, Christ, I could have been hunted in the middle of a field while ploughing. I said, like, you know, I said, honestly, I said it was pretty scary. It was. I said, anyway, I started the engine, and I said, and they sort of went back to. I said, but they didn't run. I said, but they just sort of wandered off back towards the woods. I said, like, you know, towards the wooded area. I said, anyway. Next morning, David comes in the truck. Hello, mate. I said, by the way, I said, I will just hastily add to that. She said, what? I said, I didn't go to the toilet for the rest of the night. She was like, she goes, I don't bloody blame you, mate. I said, I didn't. I said, like, no, it's not that. I said, no, I said, I wasn't that desperate. I said, so I said, anyway, David comes in the morning, and David says, all right, mate. I said, yeah, and I said, we'd moved fields. I said, I'd sort of moved further down. I said, but this wood was still out the back there. I said, but like, so I said, at one end of the field, so one of the end of the field, I said, is like the woods, and it's right next to our field. But then as you go along, the wood then sort of turns left and then goes down, and there's another field in there, and there's a dike between our field then and that new field, and then it goes across the back of that field, comes back down, and then it then rejoins another field that we've got and is on the back of that. But there is a smaller field just between us and the wood, sort of thing. Like, it's a bit, you know, unless I could get an aerial shot of it, it's a bit hard to explain. But anyway, I said to her, I says to David, like, what happened? And David says, oh, he says, let's go and have a look. I said, sod off. I said, they look like they meant business. I said, like, you know, I said, I got away with it once. I said, I don't fancy trying to get away with it a second time. He said, to be honest with you, he said, he said, I'm not overly convinced that's what you saw. So he said, I think, he said, it was dark. He said, you know, he said they probably, you know, he said they probably were cats. He said, but they were cats. And I said, no, they were too tall. I said, they were too tall for cats. I said, like, it weren't cats. I said, you know, as in domestic cats. I said, they were, you know, they were far too big for that. Excuse me, I just have a drink. I could feel a cough coming on that time. And I said, yeah, no, I said they were, you know, they were far too big for domestic cats. So he says to me, he says, come on, we're going to have a look. I said, no. He said, yeah, he said, we'll go have a look. I said, no. I said, you can go and have a look. I said, by all means. I said, like, and if I get back to work tonight, I said, and the tractor's still in this position, I know you didn't come back. He said, come on. He said, go and have a look. So I said, look, I said, like, do you need proof? And he went, no. He said, like, I said, I'll believe you. He said, I said, well, I said, look at the tractor's cameras then. I said, because I said, our tractors have all got cameras on them. I said, for when we go, because our farm suffered terribly for a couple of years with people sort of driving into us and then saying, oh, it was their fault, or like, and we were getting ripped off something terrible as a farm, through people doing this, and like, it happened to me a couple of times, happened to, the other lads as well. I had one incident where I was driving down the road. It was between fields. I had my subsoiler on, and the subsoiler was 4.5 meters, but it folded up to 3 meters on the road, to 3 meter width on the road. Why didn't you take that? No, why is that not harvesting that? Let's. You're gonna take, yeah. Right, there we go. Yeah, so it folded up to 3 meters on the road. And what they did was, as they were coming, so they were coming like from the opposite direction, and they just like turned into the side of the bloody cultivator in their really, really crappy, rusted out bloody Ford Fiesta, and then said that I was sort of dangerously across the road, and or sort of I hit them basically. I'd crossed the white line in the middle of the road, and I'd hit them, and as I say, we were being ripped off something chronic, not only our tractors but our lorries and everything, and so in the end the farm sort of decided, right, what we're going to do is we're going to just install cameras all around the machinery. So we had like sort of the equivalent of dash cams. We had cameras on the side, on the roof, looking sort of out, and then one looking down, and which I'd say our vehicles were just full of cameras, which was really good on one aspect, because obviously we couldn't sort of really get ripped off anymore, and then it was really bad on another sort of thing, because the TV monitor screens was back in the office, so it meant Adrian could sit there and could see what we were doing, and it was a good thing and a bad thing, because sometimes, like especially myself, you sit in tractors for long hours and you get sort of a bit cramped and stiff and what have you, and sometimes I used to like to go and have a bit of a walk, just to stretch my legs and sort of move a little bit, sort of thing. And yeah, obviously, I mean, he never ever said anything, because I just thought, oh, well, I'll keep doing it, he'll just have to say something. And let's say they never did, but as I say, that that was sort of the only downside, was it was a bit like having a tracker. They knew what you were doing, they knew where you were, because of the cameras on the side. But anyway, so I said, like, you can look at them. So he said, yeah, he said, I don't disbelieve you, mate. He said, but he said, I think we should go and have a look for ourselves. He said, I don't think they'll be there. So I said, well, I ain't taking the bloody risk. I said, anyway, eventually he convinced me, because he started going, bark, 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 bark. And anyone knows that is a red flag to a bull in terms of a man. When another man starts going, bark, 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 bark. So I said, come on then. So he goes, he's scared, ain't you? So I said, well, I'm a little bit worried, yeah. I said, I will be honest. I said, they got 4 legs. I said, that are fitted with really sharp weapons. I said, they've got teeth that are, I said, more than capable of ripping through, I said, my soft, delicate skin. He was looking at me and he goes, what? He said, come on. I said, come on then. Anyway, we went through the woods, and we didn't see nothing. I mean, we didn't check the whole woods, what can I say, thoroughly, as in we looked across every inch of that wood, but where we did walk, and where I'd seen them, sort of wander back into the into the woods, there was nothing. I was expecting to see sort of a burrow, or some sort of area where they were living. And I said to him, like, I said, because he said, like, what? He said, if you had to sort of say what sort of cat was it, what would you say? And I said, well, given its size, I said, obviously a puma. I said, no, I had to have a quick look. I said, this morning, I said, when on my tablet, I said, like, that at Puma. I said, and you know, they've got sort of really bright green eyes and what have you. And he said, I don't know, mate. He said, I got to be honest. I said, what's that? He said, I'm a little bit like your, you know, he said, like, you know, he said, me and you have discussions about, you know, ghosts and this, that, and everything else. I said, yeah, he said, I'm a little bit like you on this one. I said, what's that? He said, I've never seen it, so therefore I doubt that's what it was. And I said, well, that's fair enough. I said, like, that's fair enough. I said, I totally understand that. I said, I get it. I said, but you know, I said, hopefully, I said, like, I said, I doubt whether it will come out today anyway. I said, but I said, like, hopefully you'll see it. But he never did, and no one else ever saw them either. But I'd say there were two of them. Other people had then sort of reported seeing two large black cats around that area. But again, the pictures were a bit like the Loch Ness monster. You know, they were very fuzzy and out of focus, and it was like, yeah, that could be anything really. To be fair to you, you know. But yeah, as I say, I did see it, and that was what I sort of saw. So was it? Wasn't it? I don't know. I genuinely do. I know what I saw, but you know, I don't know what it was. But I said that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I said, in terms of, I said, you know, something that where people didn't necessarily believe that I'd seen it. I said, but yeah, I said, I said, I just never forget that feeling I had. I said, like, I was stood there. I said, I was doing what I was doing. I said, that's just this real feeling of someone watching me, or you know, I said, in this case, something watching me. I said, and this real sense of something bad was going to happen. I said, like, you know, I said, and I said, but I said, isn't it typical of humans? I said, where we sense danger, but yet we try to convince ourselves that there's no danger at all. So we carry on with what we're doing because we sort of say to ourselves, well, you're unreasonable for thinking that, you know, you're just a wally sort of thing. And she was sort of going, she goes, well, ish. I said, I'll tell you the reason why I say that, shall I? She says, go on. I said, I was looking at, I said, I was with, because I belong to a writers group, and we sort of study things like court cases because we're all crime writers. Well, I'm more psychological. Well, I try to write psychological thrillers, but still with sort of the crime aspect within it. And I said, we was all sort of sat in. Funnily enough, I said, we either do it in the library. If the library's shut, we do it in the pub. I said, like, I said, and I have to admit, most weeks I go, I said, I do hope the library's shut. I said, it's just nice being in a pub, isn't it? I said, like, it's a better atmosphere, you know. And anyway, I said, like, we was in there. I said, and I said, like, because we meet once a month. I said, like, and then we meet over 2 days, which is Tuesday and a Wednesday. I said, but once a month. So I said, like, I was in there last week. I said, like, and obviously I'd written about the case that, you know, had sort of been brought to us, and these are all cases that have been in the news or in the, you know, public eye or whatever. And Mary Ann, who runs the club, she's really good at finding sort of stories and obscure stories that don't necessarily make the news, or cases, I should say, really, rather than stories, because they are, you know, they're not really stories, they are accounts, you know, because these things actually happened. And she bought one, as I say, this last week. I said, and she said to me, she goes, James, this will appeal to you. So I said, right. So I said, you know, how come? She said, well, it's more psychological than, she had, like, there was a murder, and the woman in question, you know, was, you know, sort of sexually assaulted and then murdered. So I said, right. So she said, in a steel box that was soundproof. Where was she murdered? So I said, in a steel box that's soundproof. So he said, yeah. So I said, it must have been someone's basement or something that they'd, you know, sort of kitted out for such a task. And she said, no, she was murdered in a public lift. And I said, how the hell did he get away with that one? So he said, late at night in an office block. He's a cleaner. So I said, right, or janitor, because it's an American story. So I said, right. So she said, yeah. So woman's in the office late at night. The janitor comes in, makes advances towards her. She tells him to get lost. So I was right. I said fair enough. So she said anyway. She said now about 11 o'clock in the evening. So I said right, the woman is now going home. She said she's she's she was either a lawyer or a barrister or but very important job. So I said fair enough, and she said she's walking down the corridor. She gets this feeling. So I said right. She said she gets this feeling something's not quite right. Something she said like sometimes you're doing something and something's out of place, but you can't put your finger on it. I said yeah. I said like yeah, I get that. So she said the woman gets to the lift. The lift opens up. The man's in there. So I said right. So she said not that it's important, but she said the man's Mexican. So I said right, fair enough. So she said she gets this feeling I mustn't get into this lift. I'm blah 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 blah, and she does she does get into the lift. So because she convinced herself she's being racist, she's being this, she's being that, she's being unreasonable. Just because the man made advances, she turned it down doesn't necessarily doesn't automatically mean that he's suddenly going to turn psycho or anything like that. I said, and anyway, this woman ends up getting sort of sexually assaulted and then murdered. So I said right. So she goes, isn't it odd as human beings? She said no other animal in the world will do this. She said if you get a lion in the Serengeti or a tiger or a deer or whatever, she said a buffalo or a baby buffalo or whatever. She said no other animal in the world would sense danger from a predator and walk towards it. So I said, yeah, that's true. She said, but as humans, she said, we convince ourselves that we're being silly, that we're being unreasonable, that we're she said, this woman, every part of her being probably was telling her, she said, and she said, and this comes from an account from another woman that had encountered the same man. Again, he'd done the same to her, but she had managed to survive. She said it wasn't in the lift, funnily enough, but she'd managed to survive. And she and her account was that she said, I was, sort of walking to, I think it was an apartment block, the second one. I have asked her to email me the where she got it from, because I'm sort of interested, and I would like to write a story on a sort of the psychology of the both women. That we assume that the woman that did unfortunately get murdered, which is terrible, obviously, but we assume that she had the same thoughts and feelings that the first woman had, or whether she was the second woman, I don't know. I don't know which way round it happened, whether he murdered the first one and then didn't quite manage the second one, or he didn't manage the first one and managed, but it was within a short space of time. And to say the guy was caught, convicted, and is, I don't know, I don't know whether he's on death row. I don't know whether that's whether he's in a part of America where that's still a thing, or whatever. But as a Brit, he's in prison, right? Because that's all you would get in this country, is you'd be put in prison for about 10 years and then let go, and say, you naughty man, don't do nothing like that again. As I say, if you're a foreign, if you're a sort of foreign criminal that does that, you get a house, you get more than enough money to live on, you get your bills paid. If you're British, you get thrown out in the streets. But anyway, that's for another day. And I did. I sort of came away and thought about it. And this woman said, that she was walking to the apartment. She had this. I can't remember. I think she was some sort of social worker to this man, or whatever the equivalent is in America. And yeah, she this particular day she got this real bad feeling. This guy had been ringing her, and sort of making advances and what have you. And she was due to go and see him, and the whole sort of time that she was sort of walking to this bloke's apartment, I think it was, and you know, that she got this really terrible feeling, and she, you know, she was in court saying, you know, but I tried to, you know, convince myself that I was the unreasonable one, you know, and you know, no, as I say, no other animal in society would, you know, would walk towards danger. You know, if they felt that they were, you know, threatened or in danger, or you know, that they really shouldn't be walking towards the pride of lions that stood there. You know, no other group of animals would go, well, I'm being unreasonable. They're probably very nice lions, you know. You probably sit down, have a cuppa with them, you know, and you find out they're, you know, they're really decent. You know, they don't. They run as far away as they can in the other direction, you know, which of course is the right thing to do. And as I say, it made me think, and as I say, I was sort of telling Kerry, and she was like, yeah, she goes like, she said, that's how I would feel though. So I said, well, as a woman, she was like, yeah, she goes, I would feel bad, because she said, like, you know, in this sense, you know, I would sort of think, oh, the guy's a creep or whatever. She said, but then I would feel really bad for thinking that about him, and so I'd probably get in the lift with him, you know, to prove to myself that I'm being unreasonable. I said, yeah, but now you're dead. And she said, well, yeah, clearly. So I said, yeah, so I said, like, you know, bugger his feelings, protect your own, you know, protect you first, you know, don't worry about him. I said, because he clearly don't give a monkeys about you. I said, like, but I said, you know, I said, we all do it, you know, I said, we all do it, you know, I said, it's, you know, it's within us all. I said, you know, and I just felt that was sort of, you know, sort of relevant in a way to say that, you know, that I got this bad feeling about, you know, sort of being outside doing what I was doing, and at no point did I sort of think, yeah, sod the wheat, it's not that important, I'll just get back in my tractor and sort of drive off, sort of thing. Like, you know, I made sure that I finished what I was doing first, and you know, I could have been sort of, as I say, I could have been ginger on toast for tea that night for two big black cats, you know. So yeah, it's odd how as humans we sort of, you know, our instincts and you know, sort of our brains, you know, are able to give us and recognise, you know, that there's something not right within the vicinity that we are, that we need to get out of there, you know, fight or flight sort of kind of situation. And most times we sort of go, no, it's just me, you know, I'm just being silly. It's because it's dark, you know. No, it's because your body's telling you, or your brain, or your awareness, your instinct is telling you there's bloody danger here, you need to get out, mate. You know, you need to run. You know, don't worry about, you know, heart conditions, nothing like that. You just need a bloody run. Don't get me wrong, running from cats would have been a terrible mistake. You know, that would have been an awful assumption that suddenly I would have turned into Mo Farah and been able to outrun these two big black cats. You know, that would have been a terrible, error in judgment in this occasion. But certainly getting back into my tractor cab, you know, locking the door. Well, you couldn't really lock the doors from the inside, but you know, but shutting the door and you know, sort of starting the engine, making the engine really growl, and you know, sort of driving off, you know, may have helped. I don't know, you know, but it you know, it feels like it should have helped. But yeah, so as I say, that was what this morning held. It's a very odd morning, but. And then I say we were sort of talking, and then Kerry goes, "Oh, you should share that on your YouTube channel." So I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah." She said, "I'm not being funny, James." And I said, "Go on." She said, "I love listening to your chatty videos." She said, "I like your other videos as well, but she said, I do love sitting and listening to you chat." She said, "Half the time it's rubbish." She said, "Like, honestly," she said, "it's as funny as hell." So I said, "Rubbish as in I'm making it up, or rubbish?" No, she said, like, rubbish is in it's funny. You know, she said, like, you know, you tell the story that happened, she said, but then, you know, you always add a little bit in somewhere to make it funny. She said, like, or you try and do sort of like similes or comparisons, and they end up, and you think that's nothing like what you're trying to explain, but you know. So she said, like, I think you should. She said, "Have you got to do a video today?" So I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." So it's 1950's today. She was like, "Oh," she goes, "I love that series." She said, "Yeah." She said, do a chatty one. So I said, well, funnily enough, I said yesterday, I said in the episode that I recorded, I said I did say that tomorrow, like today, I said would be a chatty video. She goes, yeah, talk about that. She had honestly, she'd like, you know, she had good stories. She had like, you know, and it's funny. She had, I think you should just talk about all of it. So I was like, I said, oh, okay. I said, fair enough. I'll put it out there then. I said, but I said, if everyone unsubscribes and leaves, I said, then I'm blaming you. She was like, she goes, oh yeah, that's fine. She said, don't worry. She said, I took your job and then I took your YouTube career. I said, yeah. I said, oh, don't. I said, oh, I haven't got a YouTube career, not yet. I said, I'm just a lad that sits in his room and makes a few videos. I said, like, you know, I said, and that's all we are really. I said, we just try and have a little bit of fun. That's all. I said, like, tell some stories of stuff that's happened in the past. I said, have a bit of fun, you know. I said, like, you know, have a bit of serious as well and try and, you know, do a few things. I said, but yeah, we'll see what happens. As I say, but so I've included it anyway. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'm gonna end the video here because it's 55 minutes long, and that's more than enough time for anyone to sit listening to me rabbit on. So I thank you all very much for watching. If you have managed to get to the end, then you deserve a bloody medal. I'll can't wait to see you in the next episode. And thanks ever so much, as I say, for listening. If you haven't done already, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free to do so. It does mean you'll get to hear me tell more stories, but you'll also get to be notified when all of the other videos that I make drop. So it's probably worthwhile, I would say. But anyway, thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.